Hey, how you doing? Uncle Dan here with Sporting Drives in Colorado. Today I'd like to talk to you guys about tires and rims or wheels. Now, if you're only interested in how they look and you don't care about the performance, this might be pretty boring to you. Then again, it might just change your mind and decide to go with performance. So, what we're going to do here is we're going to start by talking about flywheels. Now, you're probably thinking, hey, now what? We thought we were going to talk about tires and wheels. But flywheel action is something that's very important for performance. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit. Now, it's come to my attention that a lot of young people don't really understand the flywheel action and what it has to do with performance. And it's just because they haven't had any experience with it. Now, when I was a kid, a lot of the toys operated on flywheels, and so, we got to experience that firsthand. Also, I hung out with old people when I was a kid, so I was already an old-timer, and I remember the old Victrolas or Edison phonographs. You cranked them, right? They operated on a flywheel system. Now, when you started cranking them, you can watch the old movies and see that they start like this, and then they get going more and more, and once they get up to speed, they let it go. And the flywheel keeps the momentum going so that an entire song will play at the proper speed instead of just suddenly stopping. Also, some of the old World War II aircraft had flywheel starters. And the guy would get up there and just pull and crank. And after several revolutions, he'd get going. Then he would step back and the pilot would engage the flywheel and it would crank the engine over until the engine fired. My grandpa, he was quite the hot rodder, and one of the things they used to do when he was young, because you couldn't just go out and buy, high performance parts back then, so they did a resistance reduction. They would remove the fenders, take out the back seat, the door panels, whatever they could remove, and still drive the car. They put lightweight wheels on it. And one of the big secrets, because back then the radiator fans were solid mounted, was they would remove the radiator fan. And it doesn't sound like removing a 10-15 pound fan is going to do anything, but it made a big difference. Now, it came to my attention because my grandpa always kept his radiator fan off of his pickup, which he taught me how to drive in. On weekends, a lot of times I would drive the pickup on his property. And I would notice that, it didn't have nearly the guts that it usually did. It's because he put the fan back on so I could drive it slow around the property. Now, I had this experience firsthand with a 1970 model Cutlass. 350 muscle car. You could put 3-4 grown men in the car and you couldn't tell the difference in the acceleration. But with a solid mounted radiator fan, it was noticeable. It was very distinctive. And the crazy thing was, you could have loaded the trunk with those fans and never noticed it. But with it locked onto the engine and rotating, it created a lot of drag. A lot of people these days don't think 2 to 5 pounds of weight on a tire or wheel will make any difference. Well, if you put 20 pounds in the trunk of your car, you shouldn't tell any difference in acceleration or braking. But if it's solid mounted to the engine, or if you put, say, 5 pounds on each tire heavier to equate to 20 pounds all the way around, you're going to notice a significant reduction in performance, both acceleration and braking. And this is why, if you want performance, you've got to go with the lightest weight wheels and tires you can find. Of course, now you start talking about less ply on the tread, and sidewalls. You're talking about rims that maybe you hit a chug hole and it's going to ruin your rims. So, you have to view your own driving. You drive down rough gravel roads a lot, you're going to want some stiff tires, But otherwise, on my Miata, I've got the lightest weight tires, and rims I could find, and it was noticeable. That's right, boys and girls. It's time to do some science. Now, I'm not just going to tell you how this stuff works. I'm going to show you how this stuff works. Now, we have here a child's toy. These wheels are free rolling. There's not even an axle running through here. So it's nothing but these little plastic wheels that rotate. This is a toy like I used to have. It's flywheel operated, got a gear reduction system. It's a nicely made toy, so it's not exactly just lightweight. For the weight that the car has, it can't have very much weight on a flywheel because it would be noticeably heavier. Now, here's what we want to see. Now, when I was a kid, we took these flywheel operated cars, vroom, 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 and we would set them down and they'd take off. And hopefully when they got to the other person would just pick it up and turn it around and it would come back to you. Now, we're going to see what happens here. See, before I can even set it down, the wheels will stop moving because there's no momentum, there's no weight here. It's easy, very easy to roll. We set it down here and it takes right off. Now, we have the flywheel operated car. You can get it moving just slowly and set it down and it goes. It'll plow through carpet, whatever. It doesn't slow down. Now, here's something pretty cool. See, of course this won't climb up the hill because the wheels stop rolling before you even set it down. How about this? Right up the hill. It'll climb the hill as steep as it will get traction. So you might think, hey, this is what you want in your car, is a heavy flywheel system, heavy wheels and tires, because it will just keep going. And of course the purpose of the flywheel on an engine is to keep it rotating smoothly between engine firing. A one-cylinder or a two-cylinder can have a problem of stalling out bottom dead center or even running backwards when you crank it over. And the flywheel keeps that engine turning till the next firing. But now, everything that rotates on your vehicle has flywheel action to it. The camshaft, crankshaft, all the gears and the transmission and the differential, the rings in your automatic transmission, they all have a flywheel action. And this is why you may have noticed some hot rod pickups sound awesome, and there's no reason they shouldn't just really be quick, but they're not. And that's because they're pickups. They have heavy duty transmissions, heavy duty differentials. That means more gears that are bigger and heavier. They usually have steel rims. And so all this stuff is dragging it down, and that's why they sound like they should kick butt, but they don't. Now, here we see what the real deal is here. That's acceleration. Again, it just rolls right off. Now watch what happens here. This is your car's acceleration being slowed down by heavy wheels and tires. Now, the reason I'm only talking about wheels and tires is because car companies have pretty much taken care of all this stuff by now. To start with, cars had drum brakes, and they had fixed mounted, solid mounted radiator fans. Well, over time, the radiator fans went to being mounted on a clutch system, so the engine could speed up without the direct pull from the radiator fan. And drum brakes, believe it or not, will stop a car every bit as good as disc brakes. Now the difference is, the closer to the center of the wheel you have in the axles, the less rotational resistance you have, the less unsprung mass there's there. The farther out you get from the axle, the more drag you get, the more flywheel action you get. Now, drum brakes, they have the flat surface running around this way that disc brakes don't have. That means that the majority of the weight on a drum brake is just like on a tire or the wheel. It's out at the very edge of the circle. Disc brakes don't have that. There's not nearly as much metal in a disc brake. And that is the reason why they went to disc brakes, because they do perform better. But it's not because you can't make drum brakes function properly. It's just because drum brakes are heavier, and so you get the resistance. And for braking, you also get the resistance. So, if you're looking for performance, actually a smaller radius on your tires and wheels is better, because it puts the weight towards the center of the axle. The wider your tires, the heavier they're going to be. And you're probably not going to be satisfied with them if you're looking for performance. Again, if you just, want to look cool, that's your business. It's your car. You do what you want. But if you want the performance, you got to go with lightweight. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, go ahead and click like, share with your friends, subscribe. You can check out some of my spirited driving videos. Some of them are pretty fun.